Welcome back. This is episode 2 of the visual novel Crimson Gray. I am your host, Sweets.
And I'm Salty.
If you guys missed the last episode, please make sure to click the little eye that should be appearing right now. And without further ado, let's get back into this. And if we're going to get murdered or not.
Yeah. Alright, so making an effort to set the mystery of the locker aside, John went with his friends to the rooftop for lunch. They spread out on one side, enjoying the sight of the trees below. Midway through the meaningless conversation, John noticed that Lizzie was watching him from the far side of the roof. Her gaze was even more intense than before, so he uncomfortably tried to ignore her and focus on the conversation. Trying to make sure he doesn't feel her eyes on the back of his head the entire time. That's creepy AF. Looks like the confusion tree is in full bloom, huh? Or confession tree is in full bloom, huh?
You really believe those stories, true love and all that?
It works, man. I've got a buddy who just graduated. He swears he got so much pussy confessing under it. Yeesh.
Well, if he kept doing it, then it's not true love, is it?
Come on, people have been confessing there for years. You seriously think everyone would confess under the tree if it did nothing?
Nah, man, I think it's a tree of lust. Doesn't guarantee true love, just getting laid.
If that was true, way more guys would be into it, but it's mostly girls from what I've seen. What do you think, John?
I don't know.
Ah, don't be that way. You dream of a girl confessing to you under that tree, don't you?
Yeah, like that crazy stalker chick. I bet it'd make your heart go all aflutter if she confessed, wouldn't it?
That tree is magic, man. I'm telling you, even a sad sack like you could get lucky if you confess there.
Don't be stupid. It's just a tree. God, his friends are really rude. Why is he friends with them?
He should not be friends with these people.
Whoa, someone has their panties in a twist.
I'm telling you, everyone goes there to...
Only because people like you keep telling these stories. There's nothing magic about the tree. People just believe it's special because everyone else says it is. Girls think the tree is romantic, so of course they're more likely to agree there. And guys would have to turn someone down in front of an audience. That's all it is.
Shit, man. What is wrong with you today?
I'm out of my meds, bro. Nope, just kidding. With an attitude like that, you're never gonna get a girl.
Haha, you insulted the tree. It'll cockblock you now. That day, John couldn't go to his therapy appointment fast enough. Mrs. Smythe smiled at him when he came in, but immediately saw he was unhappy.
Are you okay, John? Perhaps you should be on a stronger formulation. Yeah, drugs fix everything.
Let's pump them into you faster and faster.
She wants something pumped into her.
Yeah, she does.
No. Well, our session should make you feel better. Lie down and get comfortable.
Ugh. Show me on the doll where I keep touching you.
Miss Smythe, does Paxtine have any visual side effects? I should hope not. Koitek has the highest for standards of every drug it puts out, and Paxtine is nearing its final clinical trials. Are you having any vision problems? John lay back and
John lay back and stared out the window. Was he really seeing differently, or was it all in his head? He stared a long time before he opened his mouth and just started talking.
Everything just feels so gray. Are you having vision problems? Oh, so you are having vision problems. Not literally gray. It's just the sky today. I remembered when I was younger, I always thought the clouds were beautiful. Now it's like there's just nothing there. Nothing that matters. I look up and I just don't care. That sounds more likely to be a mental issue then. Why don't we get you more relaxed and talk about it?
Taking a deep breath, John did his best. As usual, after talking with Mrs. Smythe for long enough, he felt not better necessarily, but at least not miserable. Their session went by in a flash, and then he had to head home. He shuffled through his routine easily enough, slept fitfully, and then returned to school barely more rested. But when he arrived, he found a huge crowd standing and staring.
What's going on?
You know, that tree students like to confess under? The words made John shiver, even though he wasn't entirely sure why. He shifted to look through the crowd, and then he saw it.
Oh, geez.
Oh, geez. Somebody lit that shit up like a cigarette. Parts of the tree were still burning, but the rest was char, and ashes coated the ground near it. His throat was dry, as if all the ashes were filling it.
What happened?
The cops are coming to check it out, but the shop teacher said it looked like arson. Some covered the tree in gasoline and burned it down. See, this is why we need cameras. I've been telling the principal for years, but does he listen to me? No, one thinks. The words slid off his mind, and John turned away without even saying goodbye. Not entirely sure what he was doing, he stumbled straight to his locker. When he opened his locker, he discovered a folded note set in the exact center like always. He stared at it for a long moment before unfolding it with trembling hands. He knows what's coming.
I didn't like that tree either.
Oh, and a little frowny face. He stared at the words as if they were foreign language, wishing he could avoid understanding the conclusion. I didn't like that tree either. It was her. It had to be. None of his friends would be that insane, and what would be the point of a prank like that? But what was the point for her? What did she think she'd accomplished? Should he tell someone? But this wasn't exactly evidence, and did he really want to get her in that much trouble? John decided he was being stupid, like usual. He just needed to talk to her and find out exactly what was going on. Put an end to this. That day, whenever he was in the hallways, he could feel her eyes on him. With every passing moment, he became more sure that she had burned the tree down. He wondered if a normal person would be afraid now, but for him, it barely penetrated his numbness. He just wanted to find out what was wrong and put an end to it. It took until after school for him to find his chance. When the teacher handed out assignments, he volunteered to clean the roof. John stepped onto the roof and headed to the far side. After a few seconds, he heard the door open again. He ignored it and instead climbed up the tank. The upper area was meant to be blocked off, but the janitors had stopped putting up the ladder years ago. He turned, and to his shock, she was already coming up the ladder behind him. Reaching the top, she held her hands close to her chest and shuffled her feet demurely, but there was a spark in her eyes. She's going to push us right off the roof. Game over.
Well, she literally just lit a tree on fire. I wouldn't put it past her.
Oh, God.
Hello, Lizzie. Are you never going to greet me?
Hello? I said it. I said it.
Why are you following me?
Because I Could this girl really have burned down the tree? It didn't seem like she had it in her.
Were you the one leaving me notes in my locker?
Yes.
How did you know my combination?
I watched you. You left me a note. It was almost too much. I took it home and I'll keep it forever and never and never and never and never and never and never.
Be able to hear you with your voice cracking that much.
John realized that he was in way over his head, yet his mouth was still moving, asking the inevitable question.
Why did you burn it down?
Because it was a stupid tree. You're so smart. You said just right. It was awful, and I hate it, and hate it, and I hate it, and hate it, and hate. It's all because of you. John, I could never do what needed to be done before. Now I can. She wasn't stable. She wasn't even close. What had he gotten himself into? I finally found you. You're the only one for me.
Look at those crazy eyes.
Yeah.
I can't.
Part of him knew that he should do something, run away, call for help, yet...
Why?
Huh?
Why do you care about me?
How can you ask that? You're the best person. The only person.
Lonely?
Only.
Bullshit. I'm just another high school boy. No, not even that. I'm worthless.
Oh, now she pissed. She mad. No! No, no, no! Don't say that. It's not true. It's not.
I'm broken. My brain doesn't work right, and even the strongest dogs.
No, that's not true. John is perfect. Perfect. How can you say these things? The way her words flowed together, addressing him directly, one moment and in third person the next, bothered him almost as much as the look in her eyes. Whatever her issue was, it went deep.
You're not well, Lizzie. You need help. Pot, kettle, which one are we today, John?
Right. You said my name.
But I can't help you. I'm not worth anything to anyone. Just forget about me and find someone else to care about.
No! No, I can never. You're the only person who matters. Never. You're the only person who matters.
But why? You don't even know me. You don't care about me. I'm just part of the problem.
No!
It would be better if I was gone. Maybe you'd get better then.
That's not true. It's not. I love you, John. I've always loved you.
This is literally the first time we talked to each other.
Yeah. He didn't really even know who she was, and she's already in love with him. She's probably got their kids' names picked out. I've watched you, always. You're so good and kind and perfect, and even to a girl like me. He could barely even listen to her words. John found himself wandering closer and closer to the side of the building as she followed him automatically. You're so sad, but you're still kind. I don't know how. You should be broken like me, but you...
I can't help you. If you want to help yourself, you need to forget about me and get real help.
No! No, don't say that. You're confused. Yes, confused. Poor John is so depressed. He's not thinking straight. He doesn't...
Those are words.
Those were good words. He doesn't understand how much I love him. Oh, gods. He needs my help.
Please just put the knife down. We can talk this out. It's fine.
The world froze for a moment as the knife glinted, and all he could do was stare at its edge. You just need someone to take care of you. I'll stop everyone who says unkind things about you. No. I should just take you home and keep you there. Safe, yes. You just need some help. Where the hell had she gotten that knife? Would she actually use it on him? A second later, John realized that was a foolish thought. The girl had burned down a tree because he said it was stupid. He had no idea if there were any limits on what she might do. And would that really matter? He'd spend nights lying in bed, wishing he had never been born, wishing he had a way to end it all.
Ha! You can't threaten me.
Just, John? Get away from the edge. It's not safe. He took several steps to the very edge before she could stop him and turned around to face her. The back end of his shoes hung off the edge of the building. Nothing between him and a fatal fall.
My life matters so much to you? Stop toying around with me.
No! No, you don't understand!
What do you even want? To stab me until I'm yours forever? Is that it?
Never! John is so good and kind, I could never need to stab him. Please come away, I'll take good care of you.
You can't.
Ah!
Maybe you have good intentions, but you need help, and unless you get it, you can only hurt me.
I will! Whatever you want, I promise. Just don't hurt yourself. It was a tie. Of course, she was just saying whatever it took to get him to step away from the edge. Huh? Oh, it was a lie. Huh? It was exactly how he'd imagined it would go. He'd stand at the edge, and everyone would say all kinds of lies about how much he mattered to them, because they'd care for the first time. Not about him, but about the idea of him. But the look in her eyes, that couldn't be faked. It might be twisted love, but she loved him utterly. She needed help, too. Maybe he could be the one to help her, assuming she didn't stab him. But what the hell was he living for anyway? Doesn't she know the boy's supposed to do the stabbing?
Lizzie, would you make a promise with me?
A promise?
I'll step away. I'll talk to you, or let you leave notes in my locker, or whatever it is you want. But you have to listen to me and get some help. Can you do that?
You promise? You promise you won't leave me if I say yes?
I won't leave you, Lizzie.
Forever? Yeah, that's a little freaky. The answer stuck in his throat as he hesitated, wondering if he wasn't making a mistake and saying too much. But in the end, he swallowed and nodded.
Forever. Now, set down the knife and I'll... Whoops.
Oh, shit. As he started to step away, John lost his balance and fell backward. Suddenly, he was in free fall, nothing between him and cold pavement. Whoa! At that moment, Lizzie lunged forward insanely fast and grabbed his wrist. Impossibly, she held him up. Her body was thin, yet somehow she had stopped his fall and held him up with one hand. Her eyes held a mixture of unstable fear and twisted desire. In that moment, he knew with absolute certainty that if he had fallen, she would have thrown herself off after him. You can't die, John! You're the only one! The only one! With that same incredible strength, she pulled him back up to the rooftop. Fortunately, she had left the knife behind when she lunged to catch him, but he was still anxious being so close to her. John almost died. John, I love you. I won't let anything bad happen to you. It was clear that she was completely unstable, but was she actually dangerous? She seemed to care about him more than anything. Or was he just so pathetic that he'd latch onto anyone who showed him the slightest sign of affection? Worthless.
You'll keep your promise, right?
Of course, of course.
Then tomorrow, we'll go talk to someone, see if we can't get you some medication. Is that okay?
If it's what John wants, then of course it's okay.
Good. Then perhaps...
But I want more than that. I love you, John. I've told you over and over, don't you love me too? At least she was asking without the knife in her hand, but was there a good answer to her question? No, he had to think about it logically. She wanted him to answer yes, but that just might make her worse. The risk of saying no couldn't be ignored either, though...
I feel a tough decision.
If we let her down, we might just game over here, man.
She might just decide to push us off the rope.
Yeah, exactly. Just grab us and jump, both of us.
Cautiously say yes.
Oh, we're inviting disaster with this one.
This whole game is gonna be disaster.
Yeah. I'm worried about our little John.
Lizzie, I don't know you very well yet, but despite all that, I think you're a good person? No, I'm awful. John is just being kind and not answering the question. I want to get to know you better, Lizzie. Maybe then I could love you?
Ah ha ha! He said it! He said it! John desperately hoped that wasn't a mistake. He hoped this all wasn't a mistake. But he hadn't been stabbed yet, and after how today had gone, that was good enough for him.
Then I'll see you later, okay?
I'll be watching you, but yes, later.
You're not going to do anything crazy?
No, John loves me. That's all that matters.
I never said that. We both need to get to class, but we'll talk tomorrow, okay?
Okay. She is thrilled. You just made her day, John. The rest of the day was even more of a blur than usual. Everyone's voices not even echoing in his head. John could hardly believe what he had just done. It all seemed like a dream now. Had Lizzie really pulled a knife on him? Had he really threatened to jump off the school building? It made him wonder if he wasn't the insane one. But no, it had really happened. For better or for worse, he was stuck in his situation. Only when he was headed to bed did John realize that he felt strangely alive. Even better than after his therapy sessions. Maybe it was the brush with death. Maybe it was just having something to think about other than his pathetic existence. But he felt almost good. John is a fucking junkie for this shit.
Right?
Maybe that meant he was crazy too. But right now, he was just glad to sleep soundly. Wow, John. Yeah, this is probably a good time for us to call this one quits. So let us know what you think in the comments below, and
if you guys like what you're seeing, again, make sure to subscribe to our channel, click the bell for notifications, and like and share this video with your friends. And we'll be back probably tomorrow with another episode of Crimson Gray. Let's see how crazy John's gonna turn in the next, chapter or so.
We'll see if John gets to survive this or not. Maybe we're just getting him to start off with, and we'll switch to a friend or something. I wonder if this game will end really quickly if we make the wrong choice.
I bet it does.
Yeah, we might have to zoom through some past stuff, but...
Yeah.
Alright, see you guys next time. Thank you.
Bye!